Hello everyone, I'm Propaganda Panda, and today I'm joined by AdamHorton for a new video in the format of Meet the Player. Hi Adam,
Hey, what's up?
very thrilled to have you here because that's a bit of an oversight by me, but I think you haven't featured on the Emu channel yet with any of your games. Not because I didn't want to review your games, but because you actually have a YouTube channel yourself where you upload all of your video, all the VODs of your games. So this is why we haven't done a review of yours yet, which is a bit unfair, right? Because still, it's still kind of interesting to review it afterwards. But yeah, so
Yeah,
just
I don't know about unfair. I'm not offended or anything.
yeah, but I mean, still something which I hope which can be can be rectified in future. But just so you guys are aware, Adam does have a very good channel where he streams all his games from his perspective, or like records them and uploads them, and it'll be in the video description. So definitely check it out. And yeah, so
Yeah,
glad to have you here, and just maybe introduce yourself to the audience who doesn't know you, and just yeah, talk about yourself.
sure. So yeah, my name is Adam. Actually, that may or may not be my real name. Panda, I'll give you one guess as to what my actual first name is.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. It's Adam. So I'm
Okay.
Adam. I'm 39 years old. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the U.S. I am married to the best human on planet Earth. Her name is Megan. We've been married just over 9 years, and we have two kids. My oldest is a boy. His name is Parker. He just turned 6, and my youngest is Emmy. She's a girl, and she will turn 4 in just a couple of months. So that's sort of my life. I have kids, and so for that reason, I play almost exclusively turn-based games of Ark Nova because I frequently have to interrupt what I'm doing to answer a child, do something. It used to be change a diaper, but they're out of diapers for a while now, and um, and it's just really hard to find an hour of continuous time where I can be available to play an Ark Nova game. So I play mostly turn-based, and we'll get into how that affects things later. But that's sort of me as an Ark Nova player. Um, I started playing Ark Nova. I mean, before it was on BGA, my
Mhm.
tabletop group was playing it, and they were obsessed with it, and played a few games. I really liked it. Then it came on BGA, and played a lot more games. Whew! And Ark Nova hooked me in a way that only one other board game has, and I think it's relevant to talk about that um, because that really has a lot to do with like who I am as a competitive Ark Nova player because that's not the first tabletop game that I've played competitively. So in 2011, I started playing Dominion, which is you may have heard of it if you play board games at all. It sort of spawned an entire new genre of games, the deck builder. And Dominion came out in '07, but I started playing it in 2011 and got hooked. And I started playing competitively later in 2011. And when I started playing competitively, of course, I wasn't very good, but um, I figured I wanted to get better. And one of
Mhm.
the best ways to get better is to make recordings of my games so I could look back and analyze them and get feedback on them. And so
Mhm.
I participated in a tournament. It was it's maybe like the second or third serious competitive online Dominion tournament that was made, and I lost in the first round, of course, but I made videos of the games in that series, and they did like a losers bracket for fun. I made the
Mhm.
videos of those games, and it was definitely an adjustment to make videos and think about what I was doing out loud, but I just kept on doing it until it became second nature. And fast forward a couple of years, I got a little bit better at the game. I made a deeper run in a larger tournament. Um, that sort of put me on the map, like with the big boys of the game. Fast forward a little bit more. In 2017, I won the Dominion World Championship, made it as high as rank
Mhm.
2 on the global leaderboard, even though I wasn't really playing a lot of rated games at the time due to some technical limitations and also personal limitations. I just didn't want to play rated games because of the technical limitations. But
Mhm.
but anyway, um, So I got okay at Dominion. I was reasonable at the game. Um, just
That's very
because I
good.
was better than most other people in the world doesn't mean I was actually good. I've discovered in my age that everyone is bad at everything.
That is true.
But yeah, but I continued with Dominion. I was playing Dominion a lot, seriously and competitively, basically up until 2020. During that time, started a podcast, and that podcast has more than 100 episodes.
Damn.
Continued making a whole bunch of stuff for the YouTube channel. I started hosting in person Dominion tournaments with physical cards in my area. Started that in 2015, and in just under 2 weeks, I'll be hosting my 17th
Damn.
tournament
Okay.
with physical cards for Dominion. I still do that, even though I really don't play the game anymore. Every 6 months, I still host in a game of a tournament of Dominion with physical cards in my area. It's a lot of work, but I've made a lot of really good friends through Dominion, and some of them that's really the only time I get to see them and interact with them, just because well, my life is a frickin' train wreck. So in addition to that, I play tested 5 of the Dominion expansions. My name is in the rule book. Um, and I have my own blog about Dominion. I was running the closest thing they have to an official blog for a while. Um, in one of the expansions, they printed a Dominion card and my face is on it. My Discord avatar is a Dominion card, and that's my face.
Oh, okay. I mean,
So, Dominion. What
yeah,
was that?
I was aware that you are playing Dominion for quite a long time and very deep into the scene, but was not aware that you were so very much into it. So it's very impressive. And
Yeah, it consumed my life for just over 10 years. And it continued to consume my life until something else consumed my life. But ever since then, I really haven't played Dominion as much. We'll still do episodes of the podcast when like a new expansion or new cards come out, and we'll give screaming hot takes on them. But the podcast really doesn't have much content anymore,
mhm.
and that started in 2020. So this is sort of going away from Dominion. Did you have anything else related to Dominion that you wanted to ask or talk about before I sort of change gears?
Maybe a little bit, but maybe like just I mean, as I said that I link your video, your YouTube channel in the description because you have two, right? One which is like Ark Nova focused, and your original one which has a lot of Dominion content. So for all the
Right.
viewers who are like interested in Dominion, I will link both. So just check this out because I think as you just as you very convincingly demonstrated, you are an expert at Dominion. So I think
I'm okay at Dominion. Okay, I wouldn't say I'm good at the game, but I did reasonably well. I talked about a lot of different things that I did. You can just go to AdamHorton.com, and there's a menu at the top of there that will link you to everything, all of my content that's Dominion related, including my other channel, the podcast. We had a Discord server for the podcast, my storage solution for physical cards, all of the questions that I get asked about a lot. Um, Related to Dominion, um, you can find it there. So that's something that's easy to remember, and I'm sure there'll be links in the description as well.
yes, indeed, indeed. So yeah, I mean that that's very fascinating. For me myself, I gotta admit, I've played Dominion I think like twice or three times in my life, so I don't know too much about it. Obviously, I know that it's like started the deck building genre and everything, but I mean, you said that you now like have kind of switched over to Ark Nova. So would you consider Ark Nova your new favorite game, or has it like I don't know replaced Dominion in a way for you?
Yes, the short answer to that is yes.
Okay.
During the 11 years that I was obsessed with Dominion, Dominion was my favorite game, and it was always a battle for what's my second favorite game. Then 2020 happened, and when I was able to come back to the world, um, actually there was a different game that briefly took over the title of number one called Spirit Island. You may have heard of it. It's a cooperative game. It's pretty
Great
heavy.
game.
Um, Spirit Island is now my second favorite game because of Ark Nova.
Hmm.
And I would say like beginning of 2023. It was around the time that Ark Nova showed up on BGA for the first time, which was early 23, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it was about that time that I just started playing Ark Nova and kept playing Ark Nova, and I mean, obviously, Ark Nova is my favorite game at this point. And I would say that the way I feel now about Ark Nova is the way I felt um, maybe a year and a half into my competitive Dominion
Hmm.
career. I guess career in a quotation marks. Although I will say I have won more money than any other person playing Dominion on the planet. Just gonna put that out there. It's not
I,
very much. So so in any case, in any case, I had my first like high profile tournament
Mm,
appearance. I didn't win the tournament, but I made a deep run in the tournament, and I kind of liken that to getting invited to Emu Cup. If I'm being honest, like Emu Cup was an invitational tournament. Like you had to be invited to this thing, and the fact that I got to be on the list, it kind of feels like, wow, I'm out of my league here, but I'm gonna maybe win some games, and that's definitely how I felt during that tournament where I sort of broke into things. And look, it took me 5 years after that point to win the Dominion World Championship, and I didn't have kids, so it's going to take me a little bit of time to be unequivocally the best Ark Nova player. But you will see my face on an Ark Nova card. They do that. I mean, you're looking at a face on an Ark Nova card right now.
indeed,
That's
yeah.
going to be me soon. Well, not soon. It's going to be me eventually, but it's just going to take a while. I'm a slow burn, okay?
Well, I mean, I think without being like too optimistic, I think Ark Nova will probably be around like at least 10, 20 more years. I think that's pretty fair to say at this point. So,
I
yeah,
sure hope so.
I think it's a realistic, it's a great goal to set for yourself, right? And I mean, I said that I don't know too much about Dominion, but like just in terms of game mechanics and everything, are there like any overlaps between Dominion and Ark Nova which helped you like master Ark Nova, or was it like completely different? Because I would think like from my first impression, it is kind of different.
Yeah, I would have to stretch really far to say that there are similarities.
Okay,
Like everything that's similar is just like how to be good at games, not
mm,
necessarily specific to either game. You could say it about any game.
yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, so before we switch over completely to Ark Nova, I mean, obviously I assume you very much like the deck building genre. How do you feel about like the new flavor of the month deck builders with Dune Imperium and Arnak, which also have like World Cup placement? Have you played them, or how well versed
Yeah,
are you with them?
I've played a lot of games with deck building components, and when I play them, I'm like, why did you make Dominion worse?
All right, then.
That's usually what I think about it. Yeah, so I guess before we talk about Ark Nova, there is some context that I want to give to Ark Nova because it really does affect a lot of the things that are going to be talked
Yeah.
about. So I mentioned in 2020 something else took over my life. It wasn't a good thing. I got leukemia, and this was like right in the middle of when COVID was really bad, and here I am getting leukemia instead, which turns out is worse than COVID. So I couldn't work. I was disabled for about a year and a half, and I had some really unpleasant treatments, and that has really defined a lot of my life, specifically limitations in my life.
Obviously, yeah.
And this isn't about my health, but the fact that this happens, and the fact that I relapsed earlier this year. Um, I've been in remission since May of this year. So as of the recording, it's been almost 5 months that I've been in remission again. But I was getting chemotherapy for 2.5 months earlier this year, and chemotherapy is really unpleasant, and um, I am still not fully recovered from that. Notably, the drug that I was on this time, the main side effect is neurological symptoms.
Oh,
And
okay.
and
Yeah.
really any type of chemo is going to affect your mental acuity. And it
Mm.
certainly did that for me. Um, but in this case, like my mental acuity is not something that's a given. And I mean I could go into a lot more detail that you really don't want to hear about, but I guess the simplest way, it's kind of cliche, but there are good days and there are bad days. And I- one analogy I like to make is there's a graph that BGA gives you of your elo over time for a certain game.
That's true, yeah.
You can look at that graph for Ark Nova, and if you kind of normalize it to a trend line of like, oh, I was bad at the start and now I'm supposed to be good now, the variations of my elo compared to what you would expect is a creepy parallel to like how well my health was going at the time. There was a period of 2 weeks where I dropped 150 elo, and that was not a good time for me health wise. And I was continuing to play Ark Nova, and I was playing poorly. I think my elo accurately reflects how well I'm playing at the time,
Mhm.
um, but that's just not a given. And we can talk about how that goes specifically towards the Emu Cup if it becomes relevant, but that is an important piece of context. When I am on my game, I feel like I have the capacity to play at like 650 to 700 elo,
Mhm.
but a majority of the time, especially if there's a game that I need to sit down and play within an hour, and if my brain stops functioning, I have to continue the game. Like that's not going to happen. I'm not going to play at a 650 to 700 elo level. I'm going to be playing much lower than that, and I lose games because of it. And I know that sounds like making an excuse. That is my problem. That is something I need to get better on. But that's just a fact of my life. Between kids and my own health, it's hard for me to play Ark Nova, but I still do it anyway.
Well, I mean, first of all, thanks for sharing. It puts a lot of things into perspective, right? And I mean, I would say that's a pretty valid excuse, right? I mean, all of us like to make excuses, and I would say most of them, well, not as severe as yours. So I think no worries about on this.
It's a fantastic excuse, but I am so tired of playing the cancer card. It just doesn't feel good anymore. You know what I mean?
Fair enough, fair enough. I can also totally understand this, but we will come back to like reflect on like your entire Emu Cup and how you feel about it, and maybe also like how
Yep.
like yeah all the circumstances in your life maybe affected it. But yeah, just
Yeah.
I think it's very important context, of course. So yeah, once again, thanks for sharing. And yeah, now a bit of an awkward segue, but let's begin to
That's fine. My life
talk,
is an awkward
talk about the
segue.
game. Well, isn't everybody's life? So yeah, let's just talk a little bit about the game, which is I think a friendly game
Yeah, this is a
against Ryan.
friendly game. My opponent is Ryan. Ryan is a Dominion friend of mine. I met him through Dominion, and he and his wife are family friends. Me and my wife go on double dates with them a lot whenever we can find someone to watch the kids. They were an important part of our support network during cancer
Hmm.
slash COVID. So he's a friend of mine, and we were getting into Ark Nova competitively at the same time and
Oh, okay,
have progressed as players in getting better at Ark Nova at sort of the same pace with
that's cool. Yeah.
variations. And I have to say, I had one friend uh, with Dominion that happened with. There is nothing like that experience. Like having someone to go through
Hmm.
grinding a game and like getting better at a game with, and to be able to bounce ideas off of, and like and
Hmm.
I've played hundreds of friendly games against Ryan, and like it's really nice. And so like obviously he's a friend of mine. We play a lot of these games, and so we play on friendly mode because I think it only makes sense to do it that
Yeah.
way.
Well, so about Ryan, I mean, there's also a game in the Ostrich Olympics between me and Ryan where I don't want to spoil too much, but I get spanked 0-2. So if you want to check Ryan's game, more of Ryan's games, there's a stream of him playing me. And you talked about the
I was
number,
watching that game live. Yeah.
yeah. And you were talking about the number of games you played against Ryan. I actually looked this up. You guys have played, like, disregarding all the abandons or so, there are 128 games that you've played against each other. Do you know your
All right,
record?
and
Do you
that's
what? Do you think you have a winning record, or how much? How many of these
oh
128 do you think
I
you've won?
I know I've won more than 50%. Ryan experiments a lot when he plays with me. I know he doesn't play to his full potential when it's with me because we try things out. And I know he chases more butterflies than I do. My guess is I have maybe 70% win rate, give or take 5%.
Okay, so you are 78 to 50, which I don't know about the math, but it's about like two-thirds, right? So I think
Okay.
you were pretty
Yeah.
correct. And I mean, Ryan, if you're listening to this, like you got to step up your game, right? Like, come on, it's a bit embarrassing, no?
Look, I think if we played 10 games today, we would probably win like 5, give or take one.
Mm.
Like I would win 4 to 6, he would win 4 to 6 of them if we played those games today. But those 100 something games were played over the course of a year and a half,
Yeah,
and both
that's
of
true.
us
Yeah.
were progressing, learning about the game. Like I really don't think that overall record is an accurate reflection of the where we are now in particular,
Mhm.
especially because I'm like in the middle of a hole where I'm 150 elo below my peak. So
Yeah, but in the end, I mean, win ratio doesn't lie, right? So you still have the bragging rights until Ryan catches up. So
I don't know
there's
that.
that.
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. I have a lot of differences in philosophy when it comes to gaming, and it's brought me success. And I mean, we're definitely going to get into it, but yeah. I guess we're supposed to talk about this game that's in front of us while we do
True,
that.
true. Yeah, it's easy to forget that there's actually a game to review. So yeah, maybe a last thing before we actually start with the game.
Yeah.
You are the color red in this game, which is something which is very important to you, right? uh,
Yeah, so I went to Purdue University. Our rivals' school colors are red and white. I wore red all the time. Got a lot of crap for it. My nickname was Red. My car is bright red. Everything in my life is red. My mouse cursor is red. It's on my videos. Uh, we could speculate about the fact that I'm not neurotypical. I definitely am not, but I have obsessions, and the color red is one of them. And if there's a red player in a game, and I'm not that player, catastrophic mistakes will happen. I'll look at the reputation track. Oh, I have 4 rep. I'm going to do this. No, I don't have 4 rep, and everything is ruined.
well, I mean, this may sound weird for some, but let's be honest. Like, I think if you're watching this video and probably like, have played 1,000 games of Ark Nova in your life, you're probably like neurodivergent also. So I think this is something we can kind of emphasize with, and I definitely can. I also get confused if I don't get my preferred color. So,
Yeah.
um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
so this game's on Commercial Harbor. It's
yes,
the new
indeed.
one. Normally when I open it, by the way, I haven't looked at this game in a couple weeks, so I don't
Mhm.
remember most of what
Okay,
happens, which is kind of on purpose.
yeah, that's
So
cool.
what are my final scoring cards here?
They are architecture and naturalists, so the complete
Oh, great.
opposite.
So
How often do you
great,
are you someone who
fantastic.
always remembers to check them before the game?
I do.
Okay.
It's in Dominion, I developed a habit of things that I check at the start of the game, and it
Hmm.
goes right into my mental model, and that's well enough established that that's in the back of my head like all the time.
Okay.
Even when I have like 2 to 3 turn-based games spinning at once, and I'm making moves in all 3 of them at the same time, like I have no problem keeping that stuff straight. It's
Okay.
crazy.
I mean, that's impressive because I think most of the top players can't even remember the end games of their current game, even if they've looked at it like 5 minutes ago. So,
Yeah, there are things that I'm really good at, and there are other things I'm really bad at.
but would you say you have a good memory? So, for example, if like someone snaps a card like I don't know 20 turns ago, will you remember this? Maybe it's hard in turn-based, I guess.
It is a little more difficult in turn-based. If the game started less than 24 hours ago, then I usually have a great memory of that.
Hmm.
But if I sleep twice in the middle of a game, it's kind of over for
Yeah,
me.
that's understandable.
And
But
I thumbs down those people, so I don't have to play them again.
that's also fair. If I'm also someone who enjoys red thumbing people, if you know me, so yeah. Well,
It's there to be used, and I use
yeah.
it. So yeah, this hand here. Normally when I look at an Ark Nova hand to start with, I just start clicking on things.
Mm,
First, I click on really good cards. So I'm clicking on Golden Eagle because
yeah,
that's great,
that's fair.
and Victory Column is great first break, so I'm clicking on that.
Hmm.
Okay, great. I've clicked on the really good cards. Now I look at the base conservation projects.
Okay.
We've got Species Early, Americas, and then Australia. So I
Yep.
click on cards that fit that. So there's an America and there's Australia. I'm
Yep.
going to click on those. And then I evaluate how good is this for me first break? Are
Hmm.
there better cards that are going to work for me? And I think about that for a little bit. And I'm looking at this hand, and nothing that I haven't clicked on compels me to click on it.
Mm.
So I'm probably just going to keep these 4 cards.
I would also keep these four, so let's see. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you kept these, and
Yeah, I mean
yep.
Ibix it's a pretty efficient card, so it's pretty good to have early, but I just don't think it outclasses tags that support the base
Yeah,
conservation projects.
that's for
So
sure. Yeah. Also, the victory column. I mean, there's like this victory column versus arcade. Like, I don't know. Which of the two do you prefer? Because I think most people prefer victory column, but there are also some like D-Man, for example, who think arcade is actually much better.
This is not the first time I'm going to do this to you, but I'm going to give you an obnoxious answer to that question. I don't see the point in directly comparing cards
Okay, no,
unless
that's
you're
fair.
in the context of a game situation, and even then, a lot of the times it doesn't make sense. In Dominion, I go into this a lot. People really like to compare Dominion cards, and in my experience, there just isn't any value in doing that unless the cards do almost exactly the same thing, which Victory Column and Arcade don't. They don't do the
Not really,
same
no.
thing. I mean, they have a building that's the same size and they're sponsors that cost 3, but like I don't know, they're both good in the early game and I want to play them both in the early game. And if I have to pick one, like if I had both in my hand and I have to pick one to play turn 1, man, that's tough. I probably am playing Victory Column first, but honestly, I'm aiming to play them both before the
Hmm.
first break.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I think Arcade is probably good later. Maybe it's a little better. Victory Column's good earlier. I don't know.
Yeah,
They're both great cards.
that's fair. Yeah, and also like,
Ark Nova. Go ahead.
no, I just want to say like, obviously we like just like to like compare cards or do tier lists and everything, but especially in a game which is so improvisational as Ark Nova, it's yeah, obviously just somewhat of a mental exercise for fun sometimes. But
Sure. And
yeah,
I mean, Ark Nova is a much more tactical game than Dominion ever was. And there is value. There is value in comparing cards, but you have to be really clear about what that
mm,
value is. And its value ends if you don't have a game situation in front of you.
yeah,
The value of directly comparing cards ends hard stop at this is a starting point to have a discussion about a card if there appears to be an initial disagreement.
that's fair.
And at that point you talk about each card in specific, why it's good, when it's good, how it's good, and then you compare the two. And now you know how to play with both of those cards. And when you get in a game situation and you have both of them, you know, oh, they're relatively equal, or maybe one's better because of this situation, right?
Mm,
You can have that discussion, and that discussion is what gets you better at the game.
yeah,
And
that's true.
getting better at the game is my goal. Winning any individual game is great, but I want to get better at Ark Nova. If I keep doing that, I'm going to be better than everyone else. That's the goal.
Okay, that's a good attitude to have, I would say.
Yeah,
And yes,
it's served me well. Yeah, so Ryan snaps Indian Rhino, and I'm
yeah,
sad because that's a good card, and I
indeed.
probably wanted it. What's my plan for this break?
I think
Well, I want to play Victory Column.
so probably
I
start with
want to do
this,
that.
or
Yeah, and
or I mean,
there are some good cards in the row. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. The thing is, I mean, in a way, you kind of want to play Victory Column first because yeah, just the sponsors at 3 already. You want sponsors as high as possible. At the same time, you could also think about just securing the association action that you want, which could be like hand size uni or America for the reindeer. Obviously, depends on also what you want to do with your cards action. So, do you remember what you did? Because I mean, think
Well, I don't remember what I did, but I can tell you what I'm thinking about.
yeah,
Um, the big question is, do I play Victory Column or do I associate first?
yeah,
In the abstract, I want to play a sponsor first because then I'll associate and then I have the option of taking 5 coffees without doing any weird stuff
indeed, yeah,
if I want to trigger the break. So in the abstract, I would want to play Victory Column first, but if there's an association that I really want, then I will prioritize that. And I have to think about what association I want. Well, I could get the America Zoo. I could go for America's 2 next break. That's totally reasonable. I could also try and snap Meerkat Den and take the 2 rep uni and play
mm,
Meerkat Den, and that goes nicely with my reindeer.
yeah,
So I think both of those are decent lines.
mhm,
Um, if I want to snap Meerkat Den and try and play it, I could still maybe try and play Victory Column first.
yeah,
Ryan's associate started on 3, so if he wanted a uni, he would have done that anyway. So I
true.
do feel a little bit of pressure to go for the uni first.
Hmm.
Um, I think either line is probably fine. I lean towards getting the 2 rep uni now, aim to snap Meerkat Den, and play Meerkat Den.
Hmm.
That's where I'm leaning. Let's
Okay.
see what I did.
Yeah, I mean, there's also this porcupine here in range, right? So if you play Meerkat, then you can directly pick it up. So this would,
Sure, but I think if I wanted the porcupine, which I would, I'm probably still taking 2 rep uni as my first
Yeah.
action.
Well, I think this kind of
All right, past Adam.
answers it.
Nice
Uh,
job, past Adam. You agree with current Adam.
and now very interesting, Ryan X's down build,
Yeah,
which could be,
normally when I see someone do that, they have a 6 cost sponsor they want to
yeah,
play.
very, very sussy, and obviously never what you want to see because these 6 string sponsors are always so good. But okay, now
They are pretty good.
now
Yeah, so I snapped the
Meerkat Den.
Meerkat
Yeah.
Den. I'm aiming to play Meerkat Den next, and then hopefully I get time to play Victory
Mm,
Column this break as
yeah.
well.
And now, oh, he plays a 5 sponsor, and he plays Regis Monkey Park. Okay. And he
So he
plays
plays it there.
okay, native farm. Okay, I mean, I assume he wants to do like maybe some project or species early, but I mean, it's a bit greedy, right? Because you can just break now,
Yeah,
and he hasn't done
right.
his
And
associate.
so this is an interesting decision here because um, he does that. He spent his X to do that, which I think is weird. Like, why
Yeah,
wouldn't you associate first? You save your X token, you still get all the upside. Is he afraid that I'm going to take 5 coffees here? If you are afraid of that, I would associate here, right? I would get hand size or something.
yeah,
So I thought this was a really weird play. And like Ryan and I, we chat during these games a lot. And I'm thinking like he's a good player. He knows the consequences of what could happen here. And there's definitely reasons for me not to take 5 coffees here. And I think he's gonna make $10 this break, and I'm gonna make 6. I have to discard 2 cards, and he doesn't have to
yeah.
discard any cards. Like on Commercial Harbor, discarding cards should feel bad,
It does. Yeah,
and uh, but also not getting to spend your workers should feel bad. So this was a really interesting decision. It was really crunchy, and I was chatting with him. I was like, "Well, I guess I have to do this." Like, I feel at this point a little bit obligated to
mhm,
break here, and it's painful, but I think I want to do it, and
yeah,
I believe that's what I did,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I think it's also correct, but I mean, it is painful not only because you have to discard 2 cards, but because I mean, they're not only money, but you kind of want to play all of these, right? They're all very good for
Yeah,
you. So
yeah. I had plans for a long break,
yeah,
and I'm about to throw them in the trash just to cause my opponent pain. If I'm discarding cards, I probably have to pitch the Devil and the Victory column, right?
mhm,
I think keeping Meerkatten and Reindeer is what makes the most sense. And I think there are people out there that would argue for discarding the Eagle. That is not even a consideration in my mind. The Eagle stays,
okay.
100%. That's the first card I keep in this hand.
Okay, that's I mean that's definitely not wrong, but I think I'm probably one of the people who would say maybe you have can discard the eagle here. But then again, I mean if you have to discard 2, then I think yeah, Victory Column is just worse than Meerkat then Tony Devil. It's a bit far away, right? And you can if you need a
Right.
project, there's still like enough stuff. Like for example, America's
Yeah.
to yeah. I think
Yeah,
breaking is
these are good cards, right?
yeah,
But it's not about feeling bad about discarding cards. I've decided that it's worth it to
yeah,
break now, and now I just have to find the 2 cards that I want the least. And it seems like I don't know. It seems a little bit cold, but I don't know.
yeah.
That's how you win at
Well,
games.
I mean,
You make logical decisions.
I would have done the same, also discarded both of these. I think deck breaking is also good because the way Ryan plays kind of indicates that he wants to do a project with with his first Assoc. And now, if he's going to do it, obviously he's going to do it, but then he will have like no partner Zeus, no unis, which will make it very hard for him to get like more to a second upgrade. I mean,
Yeah, it's actually a
yeah,
really good point. The fact that he just played 2 species
yeah,
and hasn't played an animal yet suggests that him leaving association on that, Xing build, doing all of this in this very weird order
yeah, right.
to make his chickens worth tickets, right? It's very greedy and he wants to do species diversity 3 on the first break. And yes, hating that from him has value that I didn't say here. I'd like to tell you I was thinking about it at the time. I definitely was.
That's fair enough. But yeah, I would agree that it's very greedy and also a bit. I mean, cocky is the wrong word because obviously he knows you, so he knows that you're a good player. But
Hmm.
uh, I guess you could do it
And
in
in the
arena.
chat, yeah, in the chat, he was like, "Yes, I knew this was a risk I was taking. I knew you could probably do that, even though he just saw me snap Meerkat Den. He knew I could probably do it, and he was ready for the consequences. And he was, I think he might have been experimenting a little bit here. I would not have done what he did.
I
I'm not remotely that greedy.
I think honestly it's fair enough to say that it's a mistake. And now I think another mistake happens because spending 2x tokens to snap the chameleon seems honestly insane to me. I mean, I know it's
Uh,
his the third tag he needs, but I was honestly assuming that he already has an animal in hand to play.
yeah,
Uh,
that would be a great assumption. Maybe he was planning on grabbing an animal from the
yeah,
row
yeah,
that fell off the row. There was a porcupine and there was something else. I don't
yeah,
know if that was playable.
yeah. But the porcupine wouldn't have been a new tag. So I mean, I'm a bit puzzled by what Ryan does here because I mean he is a very very good player. Um,
Yeah, he is. His
so
elo was higher than mine at the time of this game, and that represented how well we were playing. And also, if you're gonna do with this, why not just X association? Then spend one
yeah,
X to get the card, and then build, and then animals, and then like, don't you end up with more X tokens that way?
yeah. I
I
mean,
feel
again,
like maybe that's what you want to do, but still, I wouldn't even do that.
no, of course, yeah. I mean, I guess it's awkward because then your social is so down. He wants to do the project, but it all boils down to like in round one, not just do taking the hand size uni, right? This would have made all things so
Right.
much easier for him because I
Yeah.
think spending 2x tokens to snap. I mean, honestly, even this if there was a sun bear there, I would think very hard about if I want to spend 2x tokens to snap this because
Well, he doesn't have to do it because I can't snap the sun bear for
yeah,
like half a minute. So yeah, it's a weird play, or maybe not X association, maybe just X animals.
yeah,
Like
true.
I think there were a lot of other lines there that may
In
have
yeah,
worked out.
yeah, I think spending 2x tokens is just it's just a mistake. It's 2x tokens
Yeah.
is so much. I mean, you will get like about like 10 or 11 over the course of the game on average, I think. So basically, just spend 20% of all the X tokens you will have over the course of the game. But okay,
Interesting way of looking at it. Yeah.
now it happened, and of course, I mean, now he needs to proceed with his plan. So yeah, and you can just
So we
take
do some more stuff. I grab another uni. I think this is not super noteworthy. I think the Tetris here on my map, I'm just aiming to connect to the
yeah,
harbor with
yeah.
Meerkat Den.
Yeah, I think this is a very good
But yeah,
building building spot also.
yeah,
Just leave room for the meerkat then. And I think now it's kind of telegraphed what you guys want to do. You will probably just do cards, and then you can play meerkat then before reindeer. So the action order for you actually
right.
works out very well, I would say.
Yeah,
Okay, you have to spend an
yeah. I
X,
think this is fine.
but I mean,
Right, but it's worth it. And
yeah,
on
I think so too.
harbor, like taking cards at 4 feels great.
And yeah, ooh, that is also a very
Expert
nice
on
draw.
Australia is fantastic. We're very happy about that.
Okay, now he does the project and upgrades build, and he takes the uni. Okay.
Takes a uni. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, he's kind of forced to do it because if he doesn't take the uni now, he will. I don't know whenever he's gonna get his second upgrade, but it's gonna be very far in the
Right.
future. At the same time,
Yeah.
you kind of want to do the project to get an income bonus, and now he doesn't have one, which makes not taking a uni in the first round even more painful now, I would say.
Yeah, and also he's pretty far from connecting. I mean, he did just
Yeah,
upgrade build, but that takes how many spots? You do have to build very specifically to get there.
yeah.
So that's yeah, he might be poor for a little bit.
Indeed. Yeah, maybe he has some
But if he's
sponsor.
about to take 5 coffees, then yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, still. I mean, another option. I mean, it's not possible here because like your sponsors is at 4, but if it was lower, he could have also taken the worker at 2 CP. And I know that like there's like there are basically like two like clashing philosophies right now in Ark Nova. Like one of which is more like traditional, which is like upgrade build, focus on income, just play like I don't know, solidly and take the upgrade at 2 CP. And the other like the modern school, which always wants to take the worker at 2 CP, doesn't upgrade build. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of this, but you as someone who
Right.
plays like traditionally yourself, how do you feel about like this new development of taking the 2 CP worker, not upgrading builds, sometimes even not upgrading, I don't know, cards, animals, or whatever? Um,
So um I'm I don't necessarily see it as like traditional versus modern. I just think of it as sometimes you want the worker on 2 CP
yeah,
and sometimes you want to upgrade a card on 2 CP. And it used to be that I would take the worker maybe like 2 or 3% of the time.
mm,
And recently, um, I think I mean I'm doing it a lot more. And I think the biggest revelation of what makes worker on 2 CP good is the fact that I am missing the association upgrade a lot less. So
Yeah.
on maps where you get 2 CP for your 4th worker, and you have 2 CP now, taking the worker is basically like it's just a kind of like getting the worker on your 3rd partner zoo now,
Yeah.
but you don't have to upgrade association, which you're never going to do because you're giving that up. But now you don't ever have to take that partner zoo if you don't want it.
Yeah.
And you have this worker right away that you can spend. And if your opponent's not ready to bend over backwards to deny that to you, or if they are and it costs them a lot, then yeah, definitely. I think the reasons why it wouldn't be good is you're really missing that upgrade now. Like maybe I really need to upgrade build or
Yeah.
something and I'm not going to get another upgrade for a minute. That would be a reason to not do it. But frequently, if you can spend that work or this break, you're going to get the upgrade anyway.
Yeah. Right.
So there's a lot of situations where it's good, and I think knowing why you want to pick whichever option you want to pick is what makes you better at Ark Nova, because in a certain game situation, one of them is going to be better, and it's on you, the player, to figure out which one it is. And the better player will do the right thing more often.
And I can tell you, I mean, I think even the best players in the world still go awry with this all the time because I mean it is just so hard, right? To sometimes decide what's better, the upgrade or the worker.
If
So
it was easy, the game wouldn't be as fun.
yeah, and yeah, right. I mean, like I still remember when we all like thought that the upgrade is basically mandatory, but now that there's another like key, not even tactical but strategic decision that you can make, it makes things even more fun. So yeah, totally
Yeah,
agree with
I
you there.
agree. Yeah.
Mhm.
So my next move here, I actually do remember this move
Okay.
because he has sponsors on 5 coffees.
Yeah.
He has taken a uni here. He did not take a worker. If he's gonna, I mean, he has money, but he kind of signaled that like he played a bunch of sponsors in the first break,
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of risk of him taking 5 coffees here and causing a break here. And so I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, do I play the reindeer? That is 5 tickets, and that will get me, I think, three, four, five, six, up to $10, $11 income or something
Mhm.
like that. So I'm getting $5 by playing the reindeer. But if I play Meerkat Den, I'm getting less. I only get 2 tickets, so I give up like $3, I think.
Mm.
If I take the Meerkat Den now, if I play the Meerkat Den now, I'm giving up $3. And so I remember when I first started playing Ark Nova, I was like, Ark Nova is a game of converting money to victory points. So before each break, I want to make sure I have as much appeal as possible so I can get more income, because that's more money I can make into more victory points. And this is a case where you do not want to do that, because if I play Meerkat Den before Reindeer, I get 2 victory points, and I'm effectively paying $3, and I'm paying an X token to get that, and that's so good.
Yeah.
That's very efficient. Normally, you have to pay more than $3 for 2 victory points. So yes, I want to do that,
Yeah.
and
And
so
you
I
should,
do
yeah.
that here. But like, it's not obvious, and I think plays like this where you do the calculation, you look at the income track, and then also it gives you the chance to high roll like this and be more efficient with your animal's action, right? If he does cause the break, then I can build something else, play another animal, draw some cards, and I can be more action efficient that way. And maybe I can high roll and get everything I want.
Yeah, I mean, this red deer is pretty much close to the perfect draw, I would say.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
pretty happy with that draw. So if you're watching this video, if you make the right play in Ark Nova, you will always be rewarded. Okay, write that down.
Yeah, we always like to say like, what, all luck, no skill or so. So yeah. Um,
Oh, so I gotta tell you this. In Dominion, there was something I said all the time. You make your own shuffle luck. And this was before Joker said it in a Batman movie that I didn't watch. I have Dominion business cards, and on the back of those business cards, it says you make your own shuffle luck. That is definitely my thing. And I live by that philosophy. If I lost a game, it is because I played bad. End of story. Like, I will tell myself it was unwinnable in the moment because I'm mad, but the moment you blame luck for your losses is the moment you stop getting better at the game. And everyone is getting better at the game all the time. It never stops. So if you stop getting better at the game, you are going to be left behind. So you can't let that happen to you. You have to take accountability for your own play, and you have to understand that like there's always something you could have done better, and you have to give yourself permission to look for that. Anyway, I'll get
Yeah.
off my podium
Yeah.
now.
No, and you know, I think what's also great about Ark Nova is that in nearly all games, it's actually kind of true that even if you felt that you were super unlucky, that it was unwinnable, but if you look it back, most of the time you will realize that it was actually like maybe like just one slight mishap somewhere in the early game, maybe snowballed into something very big, or just I don't know, you didn't build a pavilion and then lost by 1 point. It's so many games which seem unwinnable are winnable, so I think that's the right attitude to have.
Yeah.
And well, unlucky for you that Ryan breaks now because this playing these two would have been so great for your income, but still,
Yeah,
yeah,
but like it's still, I mean, I made the right play and he made the right play by breaking here. So
yeah.
I think, yeah, I think that was, I mean, I'm happy with what I did here.
Also very interesting for you that this Bavarian Forest National Park appeared now because now you can just release the red deer and yeah, I think correct to take
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, definitely build first so that I can secure that in my
Yeah,
hand, and then we'll play animals later, and we'll do some fun stuff.
yeah. Okay, the card row is a bit bugged now, but I already checked the replay, so this one is not gonna bug out, luckily.
Okay.
So and yeah, you get the upgrade association because yeah, I think it makes sense because it gets you to 5 CP immediately.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, that's a lot of appeal. This was like what 14. Okay.
Yeah, it felt amazing.
And on commercial harbor, are you one of these people who basically always take snapping first? Is it
Um,
always?
I don't think I like to use the word always or never.
Yeah.
Um, I
Well,
think snapping income is good. It's a lot better than I used to give it credit for, and it's certainly very good on this map.
yeah.
But I don't know. If I'm gonna take a map bonus, it if it's an income, I kind of want to want that income now. Like there,
Mm,
a lot of times there's something better, and I think I take snapping maybe a little later in the game than a lot of people do.
mhm,
A lot of people say like, "Oh, you got to take snapping first 100% of the time," and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I do it 40% of the time or so,
mhm.
something like that.
Okay. But I mean,
But
yeah,
yeah, that's an Australia icon. I already
yeah,
have an enclosure for it, and theoretically, I should be able to play it kind of
yeah.
soon.
Yeah,
So
I mean, after
snapping it is great.
yeah, I mean, after you play Expert on Australia, it's just gonna be playable straight up, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, probably yeah, take 10 money here. I think that's also correct.
Yeah, I'm also on 6 reputation with upgraded animals and
Yeah, yeah, right.
haven't covered the rep spot on my board. So taking a worker here, especially on commercial harbor where you don't get 2 CP for your fourth worker, like I mean, I definitely don't want that. I don't
Yeah,
need enclosures right now, and I don't feel super poor, and I'm about to get $10 from 5 CP. So like I think snapping is pretty clear
yeah,
here.
I think so too. Seems very correct to me. And now takes Ryan takes the uni. Okay, upgrades animals and upgrade sponsors. Okay, now that's interesting. We always hope that he doesn't have like talented communicator or explorer or something like this. And
Yeah, usually when my opponent upgrades sponsors is like, oh no, they have a good
yeah,
card.
yeah, right. I mean, but okay. Some more good draws. Hard to say what you're gonna
Yeah.
get rid of. Probably sponsorship elephants. Yeah, okay. I mean, release of patents is like I guess like it's especially good because there's this free partner zoo at 8, and basically you're only like one science uni and release of patents away from getting it. I guess so.
Yeah,
Also,
I think it's more playable than elephants, although I don't know, I'm always suspicious of like, am I gonna have the time to play it? Like
mm,
right now, I kind of want to play Extra on Australia next,
yeah,
and I have to ask myself, is 2 tickets now better than the possibility of playing Release of
mm.
Patents coming up? And I don't know. I'm leaning towards pouching it.
Yeah, I think there are arguments for both. By the way, also very interesting. We didn't talk about it, but there's like this low mountain range here, which can be very useful for the eagle later. So
It can, yeah.
We'll see if you want to take this. And he plays Diverse the Researcher. Okay. Which is not as scary as like some of the absolute OP cards, but also with his native farm animals, obviously can be very good. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, whenever your opponent upgrades sponsors, you know you're screwed. So, such is life. And we will see whether you pouch something here.
I'm
You
pretty
don't.
sure I do.
You don't.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay. All
Well,
right. Past Adam had a better idea.
I mean,
Science Museum's in the row, so.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I think I would have maybe even pouched the Cougar. And because right now it's unsure whether you can get to 5 America, maybe just doing a 2 is already pretty good. And I would have felt like you have a lot of projects line up, that you hopefully get to Australia 4, you still have Species 4. And if you take the low mountain range, then these are already like 3 projects, or 4 with America 2. So I think pouching Cougar would have been okay here, but
I think I would have pouched Release of Patents before pouching Cougar.
I mean, it's a bit unlucky that this 3 size doesn't touch rock. Obviously, there's no way to know
Yeah,
this.
that's unfortunate, but you can't have everything.
Yeah.
I think I've had my share of luck this game so far. I also have an animal in my zoo and no occupied enclosures, which is cool.
True, yeah. That's how Ark works. And
Reindeer just like walking around on the path, saying
Mhm.
hi to the guests. Yeah, and so yeah, I build the aviary here. Something that I've run into a lot on this map is there's this line from the top right of the map to the harbor in the bottom left. And for the most part, the rocks are below it and the
Yeah.
water is above it. So if you want something that's adjacent to both rock and water, it's got to be on that line. But I want that rep and I want to connect to my harbor. And so I'm going to run out of places to put animals that need rock and water, right? And like there's fur seal, but like if you want an aviary or a reptile house, and I want an aviary this game, like yes, I would like to be able to play bald eagle in that
Yeah.
aviary. And so I have enclosures right now. I have the money to spend, and I can still play an animal. So I do kind of like the move of building an aviary here. And Ryan in the chat, I remember, was like, "Oh, that's horrifying," which he should be horrified.
Yeah, I mean that's like the disadvantage of playing an early AV, right? You kind of like telling your opponent, by the way, I have an eagle. Especially if you don't like play like 1 or 2 AV birds very soon. So
Yeah, and I just want to say that in the chat, I did say to Ryan that I had both eagles, okay? And he did not comment. He didn't give me a read on like, oh, well, I don't know about that. So I can say with confidence, based on my read to him, that he does not have bald eagle. Okay. And I can also say with confidence that if he ever drew bald eagle, he would say something to me about it. Okay. And so I just want to put that into the universe. Maybe that will be relevant at a point later in this game.
that is like some meta game between you two.
There
Yeah.
is always a metagame. There's a metagame in Dominion where the designer specifically tried to take metagame out of it. It's always a metagame.
Yeah, and also okay, also perfect money to play this Taipan still. Yeah, I'm still looking at this low mountain range to be honest. I think projects on this map are just very, very good. You kind of want to have as many of them as possible. So
Yeah, I would like to have that card in my hand. I don't know if it's going to happen. I also don't know where in the row it is. Is it in the second spot?
it's in the second spot. Yeah, it's a bit confusing.
Okay. But I also don't like snapping cards on this map. I like to
That's
take
true.
them from rep range.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, you could have
I
built
mean,
for it
I
here
certainly
or here.
wouldn't have snapped it here.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think you could have probably delayed the Avery and just, for example, build for the Cougar down here and just take it from range.
Yeah, that's certainly reasonable. I think that's reasonable.
And yeah, okay, you just drew cards. I assume to have something to pouch when you play the Taipan. And
Right, and also I did want to get up to that rep. Getting up to the
yeah,
rep
true.
allows me
Yeah.
the option of at least getting a second worker this break. So I don't know. I think the other line is reasonable, but I think there's a lot of merit to the aviary. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I guess the disadvantage is like the break is already at 8 out of 9. So if Ryan wants to, he can always break away your worker, even just with cards. And now he plays
Sure.
Okapi. By the way, this 5 sides just builds in the water. It always
Still
looks
in
so funny.
there. Yeah.
Diversity always looks so funny. Now, okay. Okapi.
And get ready for the map to look even weirder.
Yeah.
It
All
just
right.
looks so silly. Diversity Researcher is one of my favorite cards in the
It
game
is
just because of what it
mine too.
does.
And an aquarium. Well, I
Let's see
guess
where that goes. It's
e-
gonna be hilarious.
even more bad news, but yeah, it can go literally anywhere, right? And it goes there. Okay, yeah. I mean, he still
This is
wants,
just one of the silliest maps I've ever seen. I love it.
and I mean, it's probably going to get even sillier.
Yeah.
He probably wants to get like maybe at least one, probably two native farm animals shields out of this. So yeah, but oh, also a bit unlucky. He can't get venomed. Lucky for Ryan, but yeah,
Dang it. I wish I wasn't winning by so much.
yeah, unlucky, right? And now you even have so many Americas that you can pouch. This is like first world problems here.
I mean, I think pouching release of patents is still
Mm,
reasonable. But
yeah,
I mean, if I wasn't going to pouch it the first time, I'm not going to do it here because
yeah.
you can never admit to your mistakes during a game by doing something like that. I'm kidding, by the way. Absolutely do that. It's so important to like look for mistakes during your play because you can actually improve your play from them, and that's something that doing my commentary really has helped me with.
Mhm.
It helps me identify where I suck so that I can start improving right away. So competitive advantage right there.
Are you someone who like watches replays of his own games and not only the ones that you recorded, but just normal BGA replay? Do you check them sometimes after a loss, or is it too
I
painful?
don't do normal BGA replays.
Mm.
It's only with my commentary.
Mhm.
It's really hard for me to follow what I'm thinking with sufficient enough distance that I
Mhm.
can come at it fresh.
Okay.
So having my commentary there is an important part of me like learning from what I was thinking and how I could approach it differently.
Mhm.
Because I need the time in between to like reset and then like come in with a more critical, like here I'm thinking about I should pouch release of patents here and I
Mm.
wasn't doing that during the game, and now that's something that like I don't think I would have noticed that on a BGA
Mhm.
replay if or like I mean
Mhm.
this is a BGA replay, but I have you,
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
kind of like a human I can talk to.
But
Anyway.
do you watch replays at all? So do you sometimes, I don't know, check replays from other like top players just to see what they're doing, or
Um,
or are you learning by
there is
playing?
a certain there's a certain point where I do that, but I stopped doing that much earlier than I think most people do. Like I stopped doing that around the time I hit 500 elo for the first time.
Interesting. Mhm.
And I know a lot of people when they hit 500 elo is when they start. But I spent too long in Dominion held back by the idea that these people were better than me and I needed to learn from them. They may be better than me, but the way I am going to get better than those people is not by trying to imitate them. And unless there's someone who is able to explain what they're thinking and why they're doing what they're doing very well, then it's really hard for me to take something from that where
Mhm.
I think I can do better. So like that's just I think that's down to a learning style kind of
Mhm.
thing. Like I want to, if I learn something about Ark Nova, I want to know why that is the case.
Mhm.
If someone says you need to take snapping income and take the worker on 2CP, I'm going to be like, why? And if they can't explain to me that taking the worker on 2CP in a lot of cases is like not upgrading association, which really doesn't hurt all that much, then I'm not going
Mhm.
to understand why that is, and I'm not going to know what game situations to apply it in. I'm not going to get the actual benefit of learning, so I'm not going to become a better player.
So if you say that you prefer like having someone like to explain it, do you watch content of others? Do you watch or I'm sure you're aware of like Sam or like JD's streams or so, but do you watch any Ark Nova content to improve?
I have watched like a video from most people who make content. I
Okay.
think Sam's content is very good. I think he makes the best content that's out there with relation to Ark Nova,
Well,
and
so
I think he's way better than anyone else, including me.
well, Sam, if you're if you're listening to this, just
He knows this. I've told him.
okay. Let's just leave this here without any further comment, right? So Sam can enjoy the moment of glory of being praised like this, and rightfully so. I think so many of us,
And he's earned it.
yeah.
I'm just stating it how it is. He's the best content creator for Ark Nova there is right now. It's a fact.
Mm,
There's no debate.
I mean, give him his flowers because I think so many of us have become good at Agnova because of Sam. I mean, I'm one of them. Without Sam, I would still be stuck with like 300 elo. So yeah,
Yeah,
Uh,
but like, I mean, I will watch his content, and when he's reviewing a game that I played, I
mm,
definitely take a lot from that. But I also have to realize that I want to be better than him someday at the game.
mm,
And the way I do that is to not necessarily take everything he says at face value.
yeah,
It's the
that's fair.
start of a discussion. It's not he is right about this.
Yeah,
No one is.
that's totally fair. And okay, you take Science Museum, which makes sense. I mean, you've committed to the release of Patents now, which I still think it's not
Yeah,
bad, right? Because if you get the free partner too, so the Science
right.
Museum will hopefully come online and then be very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also agree with not donating here. I mean, you are kind of poor. I mean, not that poor. I don't know. Just Ryan just has all this money from somewhere. I don't know.
He didn't play an animal last break, I
Yeah,
don't think.
okay. That's a good way of staying rich. Just don't play animals.
Yeah, don't spend your money, then you make more money.
But a bit unlucky for you now that he denies the Australia partner, so which. But okay, you can still get America, and um, well,
Right.
I mean, we probably even prefer this. I mean, you have. I mean, but hard to say. Both are good for you, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I want them both. So,
Yeah,
and I have America animals to play now. So, and nothing I particularly want to pouch. I think I probably would have taken
yeah,
America here
yeah. True,
regardless.
true. Okay, and Ryan plays Saltwater Crocodile. Oh, it's scary. On this map, even better. Takes Moose, Expand Large. He already has one large. Okay, Moose is also he can play this Moose without having any herbivore animals. Love how Ark works sometimes. Just flocked into your what Okapi stable native farm animals. And well, make your own shuffle Ark, right? Immediately Archaeologist appears.
Yes.
Well, I guess this is kind of what you were looking for. So
I mean, it's another science tag, and I definitely want that.
yeah. Yeah. Also, oh, there's a howler. It's also great news. I also like playing animals first
Yeah.
because Ryan can't deny it. So yeah,
Yeah, I like having my actions in the order of like cards build animals, but like I
mm,
know I want to play just one animal this break, so like getting the strength of the other action, I like the sequencing here.
okay. So yeah, also you are going to snap it, and oh, you can take a second uni here, partners here even. I mean, luckily for
Yeah.
you, you have it upgraded, so not getting Australia now doesn't hurt too much. And Ryan still slams down more large enclosures, which is a bit scary.
Yeah, I think he's signaling he wants that elephant. He's
Yeah,
taken moose, and then he probably
true.
wants the elephant.
And I mean, he can't even play it because with its diversity, it doesn't need to touch rocks, so kind of scary. Um, but you could just, for example, build for it later or even now. Um, but okay, or just upgrading cards. Yeah, this also works. But
Right. I want to upgrade cards because I don't want to waste
yeah,
reputation, and I wanted a partner zoo. And I mean, if I can't have Australia, then I mean, there's
yeah.
a Europe in my hand. I'm sure that I bantered at this point in the chat about I need both of the partner zoos for both of my eagles, so that was an important part of what was going on here.
Yeah, let's just hope that no sun bear appears, because then you're gonna be sad to not have Asia, I guess. But uh, with
Hey, I can get 4 partner zoos this game. I'm good.
yeah, and also with two eagles, one real and one imaginary, you don't need any more sun bears. So
There's no such thing as too many eagles.
yeah, right.
I'm being sarcastic.
I mean, there are games where people have played three eagles by scavenging one that they released. So I mean, what can we say?
Okay.
But yeah, here you play the archaeologist, makes sense, and just play the dugong. Okay, I think we can safely say dugong is literally the best animal that Ryan could have here by far.
Yeah, I was worried about elephant, and he just plays something that's a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah, doing well in Ark Nova involves a lot of speculating and what is in your opponent's hand, and I've just found you just kind of have to assume they have the best cards.
I mean, it always. I mean, you always see like top players also assuming that the opponent maybe has like an eagle, sun bear, rhino, elephant, stuff like this, right? I mean, if you plan ahead, it's always
Yeah,
best to assume the worst.
Right, and there's a competitive reason for that. It's not just pessimism and whining,
Yeah, yeah,
although
right.
on the podcast we go into a lot of detail about whining, when you should whine, how you should whine. Please listen to the podcast if you want more details on the ins and outs of whining in board gaming. It's a fascinating subject. But it does have a competitive advantage because let's say they have the best card imaginable. Now you're playing the game the best you can against what they have. If they have something worse, then you're just winning by more, right?
Yeah,
In so many situations, you're just planning for the worst and then you're pleasantly surprised when it doesn't happen, but you're not hurt by planning for the worst. If you're in a point where it's like, well, I need to get lucky to win this game, so I need to start doing desperate moves, like made some mistakes to get there,
yeah,
right? And that's not a place you want to be, and uh, that's not that's not the player that I
yeah.
can't
No,
finish that thought.
no, but that's totally fair. But still, gotta say, like, I also like to assume the worst, but I did not see this Dugong coming. I don't know. Like, maybe it's like psychological. You see this enclosure, you know it doesn't touch to water, although you know it doesn't matter. But like in your head, you just think it's probably not a
Yeah,
Dugong. But well, unlucky. At least his action order is a bit awkward now. Like he obviously wants to break, but he can't. So I guess you're just gonna build now, and you do.
I have a cougar and a monkey that need
Yeah.
homes.
And okay, I already saw this move, and actually very like what you're doing here because I mean usually
Very
people
sexy, yeah.
usually people only use archaeologist for a times two, but I mean you still have two times twos left. You have an eagle, you
Yeah.
just don't need it if we're being honest. So using the tempo to play it now, and I think you use it to draw the broader playground and play it now. I think this is very smart.
Yeah, it's very sexy. I really like this play.
And yeah,
And
okay.
it's so nice that I don't need this next to rock because I have this monkey. I
True.
can play the monkey first. Like this just wouldn't have been possible without that monkey. Such a good monkey.
How do you feel about monkeys? Like, I mean, I guess everybody thinks they're the worst because they're so rare, but do you rate monkeys?
I'm one of those people. I like giving up on monkeys much earlier than most people do.
Yeah.
Ryan loves monkeys, and
I mean,
he always
objectively,
goes for monkeys.
I think it's like with the emo. We all know deep down that objectively they kind of garbage, but I don't know. It's just so fun playing them. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you with monkeys. I think they pretty garbage. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. We've kind of memed like the proboscis monkey into a top tier animal, so I guess. Oh, and Ryan has even more water, of course.
Yeah, people just they like to play water tags against me. I don't know what it is, man. It's not fair.
Yeah, there's this one Emu Cup game where Randall had like 9 water attacks or so against you. So
Yeah, and I had the aquatic end game, and I'm sitting there like, oh, sweet. You start with aquarium. The hydrologist got like my laughter when
mm,
hydrologist drops in the row, and I know that I can't get it, and it's amazing for him. Like,
yeah,
just if you want to know what despair looks like, just watch that video.
I mean,
Fortunately, I was at the point in the game where I could just laugh at it.
yeah.
If you don't laugh, you're gonna cry, and we don't cry here. That
I
is
mean,
something that's gotten me through some hard times. Please continue.
I mean, we just said earlier like nearly or barely any game is unwinnable, right? But I mean, this game is also on this channel on stream. I think Sam, me, and the idea are casting it, but and I think it's fair to say that this game was indeed kind of unwinnable. Um, just a crazy aquarium engine. And
Oh,
even a
yeah, the
bald
game
eagle in the
against
end,
Randall.
just to I don't know.
Yeah, I knew he had it. Like, he wouldn't have played as confidently as he
Yeah,
did, cause the break when he did. Like, the only reason he would have done that is if he had Bald Eagle. So I knew he had it, and I was just waiting for it.
yeah, just makes it even sadder. But okay, you sold the marble. I think it's very interesting what you want to sell here, right? Because okay, obviously you're keeping the two Americas, you're keeping eagle. The fox. I mean, the marble also fits into the enclosure in the aviary, so maybe it's better than the fox, but uh, tough to say. Also, you discarded expert on herbivores, which is at least like yeah, two appeal, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I have the Meerkat Den. I wonder if I should have kept that card, honestly. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say, right? Because I think you probably want to play adventure play right now, and then yeah, honestly, I don't know either. Like all these cards are pretty decent. Let's put it this way. So
Yeah, I feel like the Fennec Fox might get sold as well, depending on
yeah,
how things go.
I mean
It's not super clear.
you already have like your next actions kind of lined up, so I guess it would make sense to maybe sell it, but it's still a playable animal. Then again, there's also, for example, this marten, which could fit this one size, and yeah. But so far, I would say it's pretty even. I mean, you have an eagle in hand, you have 5 America, but Ryan obviously has 4 Australia and just a lot of water. Just a lot of water.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hard to say how this goes. Also, does he have? He does not have America pattern, so at least. But he could get it. It's Anaconda. I mean, it's also just good. It's America, so.
Right.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we want
Talking
extra
of,
gravy on everything.
speaking of water.
Oh, yeah, look. That's a card that's pretty good for my opponent.
Yeah, I
Let's
guess.
see if I get the chance. Yeah, we gotta make sure that he doesn't get that.
Yeah, well, this is definitely the right call. And also, of course, instantly a bison gets revealed.
Feels so good.
I mean, there's a lot of good cards like circulating this game, and yeah, just
Luckily, it's only good for me. I don't think he's ever gonna be able to play it.
and guerrilla field research. So we did a poll
I
like at the
miss you,
beginning of the
Harambe.
tournament where we asked like, what is your a lot of stuff, and one of the questions was, what is your favorite sponsor? And you answered guerrilla field research. You also answered it for the most underrated card, so you must be so happy to see this.
Yes. Do you know why that is my favorite sponsor and the best card in the game?
Well, I remembered something about Harambe, who
Yeah, so
died
I live in
tragically.
Cincinnati,
Oh,
the
it's
Cincinnati
true.
Zoo.
Oh my god.
We are members of that zoo. They have not put up the memorial statue, and I fill out a comment card every single year about it. But I go there and I shed a single tear every time in front of the old gorilla enclosure, not to where they moved them, which is obviously better, but in front of the old gorilla enclosure, I shed a single tear. I remember you, Harambe. You did nothing wrong,
He really
Harambe.
didn't, man.
You did nothing wrong.
It's, I mean, it's sad. It's also one of my favorite memes, and it's even cooler that you're actually literally from Cincinnati. I mean, didn't make that connection, but I mean, now that you say
Yeah.
it, makes total
He lives
sense.
in my heart every day. And you better believe there were some hashtags in the chat when I play Harambe this game. Okay? You know the ones.
I mean, every time you play Guerrilla Field Research, you're kind of like honoring his memory, I would say.
Yes, and in a very specific way, I'm honoring it.
And yeah, speaking of times twos, obviously you put yours in Soch, which seems very correct to me, and Ryan also gets one, and he puts it on sponsors. Yeah, I guess makes sense. He can't really make. Also, like, we are very, very deep into the game, and Ryan still has one worker only. That's a bit awkward.
Yeah.
I mean,
Called for him to put that on association, yeah.
and this all is kind of like comes back to like him not taking an assault action in the first round, because if he had just done this, I think he would be much more
Yeah.
advanced now and definitely would have had a second worker. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit awkward to play with one worker, turns out. And
I agree with that.
wait, how many water takes are there in the deck actually? Because I feel like we've seen at least 2/3 of them. And it's even Australia.
I do remember a game, it was with Marine Worlds, it was in person. I ended the game with like 11 or 12 water tags. It just felt unfair. I drew and like the new sea turtle tank with 2 water tags.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
true. I mean,
And
I could see Ryan get to 10 maybe, who knows?
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to Marine Worlds coming to BGA?
I had made a bold prediction. I am sticking to this prediction that we will be playing Marine Worlds the next arena season.
Ooh.
It could still happen. Okay? I believe.
I mean, we have the BGA developer in our Discord, and he shared like some stuff where he was testing some things. So it can't. I know everybody's always asking Sam like, when does Marine Worlds come? And he's kind of annoyed of it, but it can't be too long, right? I mean,
Arena season ends in 2 days. We'll have an announcement probably on the 8th. That's my prediction.
oh, I hope not, to be honest. But I'm curious. I'm very, very curious. Let's put it this way. And
I want to play with the new stuff, man. The new
But we,
stuff.
but we have two, not even two, like five new maps which could be released first. So yeah,
Yeah, I want the new stuff. Give it to me.
yeah, right.
Hey, look, you got another worker. Check it out. And it's a water tag. Look at
Who would have
that.
thought? What a surprise! Oh, and he can still play the moves, right? He doesn't have an enclosure, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He has a
And
dugong.
this would be very funny now if he really plays the moves, because then we have times 3 on sponsors.
Yeah,
And he does. Okay, love it.
so good. You could pass that for 3 X tokens.
I mean, honestly, obviously it's a terrible move, but just for meme value,
But
imagine
you
if you
have
build.
to say, yeah.
Just build the times 2, man. You need times 4 on sponsors. Come on, it's good. I mean, obviously it's not, but
Give
imagine.
this man a red panda. I would just want to see it
Oh man.
happen.
Oh god, this would be beautiful, beautiful. I mean, that's really an avalanche of times 2s here, but okay, you get Americas and probably a partner, so I assume.
It's like eagles. You could never have too many of them. Yeah, so size 2 income, very good on this map.
Yep.
Definitely want that.
Well, I guess now the fox gets pouched. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, it can also take rep. Yeah, that's very cool. At least this platypus goes away, or the anaconda, one of both. Okay. Um, I mean, yeah. And now he can just break with with all his times 2s and sponsors. Okay.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I mean, that's literally a break 9 now, right? Um,
Yeah?
3 times 3. I think I've never seen this in my life, by the way. Like I've seen like times 3 on something, but never like 3 times 3. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, he did play the reptile sponsor from the row because that was 9 coffees. I had 3
Oh,
jumping from the
oh,
cougar,
okay,
so
true. Okay.
so he didn't need all 9 coffees, but we can give him credit for it if you want.
Yeah. Oh man, I was so excited that I didn't even realize this. But yeah, thanks for pointing it out. Well, I guess it's. I mean, it's correct. Still a bit less cool, but uh, we can accept
We're
it.
just gonna say he did it.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I saw it happen.
he snaps Panda. Scary. Although he can't even. He doesn't even have Asia partner zoos, so could be very. I mean, also this game is nearly ending. So yeah, Secretary Bird makes sense. Put it on times 2. So your problem here is obviously that you don't. Oh, of course, Sunbear. But okay, neither of you can play it yet. So I guess it is you use a Sunbear.
Yeah, so we were chatting at this point, and I was like, I hate this because like we can't play the card, but he could take Asia and he could play the Sun Bear. And I was also still reiterating the point that like, oh, I still have Bald Eagle in my hand, like I don't need a third eagle, right? But I feel like I need to deny the eagle to you, so
It's
anyway.
really tough for Ryan now here. Yeah, but I mean, is he gonna? Oh, he snapped Panda, so he can't snap the Sun Bear. I mean, he could like
Yeah.
take Asia, snap the Sun Bear, then he still needs to build, and then with his fourth action, he can play both of them. But
Right,
this
but he
seems,
has the money for all of that.
yeah,
He, I mean, that's a good line, especially because, I mean, once he plays Sunbear, he can play Panda. It's only
yeah,
one build action. Like, I think it's a totally reasonable thing. And if I just leave that for him, if I take cards and I don't take that, or I even put it in rep range, geez,
yeah,
like, still terrifying.
yeah. But you have Guerrilla Field Research. I assume you're just gonna play this now and take it, and you do.
Yeah, but like, I really want America Man, right? I mean, I would much
Yeah,
rather take America Man.
that's true. To be honest, I mean you are very very close to finishing. So um,
Like Sunbear doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't fit into my end game, right? I already have
yeah,
2
yeah. I
eagles,
mean it's just
and
getting sold. uh,
and America Man like could be very good. So like I
yeah,
definitely was complaining in the chat like, God, I don't need another eagle, but here we are.
yeah. So the thing is now,
Also, rest in peace, Harambe. You did nothing wrong. Please continue.
yeah, so the thing is now. I mean, the awkward thing is that you don't that you. I mean, I guess you do have a project with species diversity, but it's not in
Hmm.
range yet. But without
Yeah,
having done the math, I think you could just end with probably partners or rep, just double donation because uh,
eagle
eagle it's like
plus
14,
secretary bird.
89. Yeah, with double donation, it actually would be exactly 101. Um, I
Oh,
think, I mean,
sweet.
it's hard to say, right? Do you want to like? I mean, you could just X around just to do the project, but I guess it's just not worth it, right? I mean, you just don't have anything to do
Yeah,
with your other actions now, and
yeah. If I was a better player, I would find that line for sure, wouldn't I?
well, I won't want to spoil what's happened, but I mean, Ryan builds a force
The
size.
the the banter at this point, obviously, like I mean, I know for a fact he doesn't have bald eagle in his hand at this time. I know that because I have told him it's time to play my eagles now. I've gotten no reaction out of him. I know at this point he doesn't have it in his hand. That size 4 is probably for the rhino that he snapped first break, right?
Oh,
Which is terrifying, and I don't want to give him the option of like having another action. So a good player here would obviously find the line that you found and end the game here, right? So hopefully I
yeah.
do that, right?
Yeah. Also, speaking of like your good memory, I mean, this video started like 1.5 hours ago or so, and I totally
Hmm.
forgot that Ryan has the rhino. So, and I mean, yeah, as
Look,
I said, it's so good. It's 5 rhinos project to him. So,
most games that I play take much longer than this to finish. So like this is just my brain. It's good.
and I mean, let's see what happens.
All right, good job, Adam.
You
You
did.
did it. I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah, I mean, also
So
just
proud.
very good calculation, and yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely the correct move, but it's very, very rare to see like someone doing a Soch with like just taking partner zone rep and nothing else. But I mean, it's
Yeah,
definitely correct.
yeah. And it's just in time here because now
Yeah.
he doesn't have time to rhino and take that rhino proj.
Also, he does have a one size down there. Okay, so he can play two
Yeah.
animals at least. But yeah,
Yeah, he can play that barn owl in the row. It's so good. Look at that. Look at that guy.
I wonder what this one could percept. But
Uh, Nothing good. I mean,
for
I have
sure,
the other eagle, so it's really not possible.
let's see what
And
happens.
what conservation project can he do? He's been planning to play his rhino all game, right?
Yeah.
So like he can't even do any of the he can't even do like America's too. Like what could he'd release the barn owl? Like I'm not afraid of that. That's not enough, right? And at this point in the chat, he's like, "Oh my god, I found bald eagle and aquatic."
Oh my god.
And I'm like, "No, you didn't. That's funny. I have bald eagle, you nerd."
Well, until oh my god, I mean, I assume that Ryan didn't lie, but this must be probably the best perception in the history of Ark Nova and
I
mankind and the history of time.
I checked the replay from his perspective.
He didn't lie.
Oh, he didn't lie.
Oh my
He
god.
wouldn't lie about
Okay.
that.
I mean, this eagle owl, no, this barn owl, gets enshrined to the Hall of Fame of barn owls. Like, I think this is literally the pretty much the best barn owl I've ever seen. Then,
I disagree. We're giving that owl the Hedwig treatment.
oh,
Yeah, I
animal
went there.
cruelty. Oh, he even has penguin pool. Oh well, and
Yeah.
aquarium, even more water, of course. That is very unfortunate. And he doesn't even have he can't even do a
He
second project, but he can take uni.
he built the size 4 playing to his outs, by the way. Like that size 4 may have been for a rhino, but this
That's
was his out. He played towards it, and
I'm not sure if this was in his mind, but let's give Ryan the benefit of the doubt. Uh, and I mean,
we had discussed a little bit. Like he kind of knew where he was in
okay,
this end game and
okay,
playing to his outs. Like I give him credit for it.
that's fair. Then. And I guess it just takes last uni now. And yeah, I mean, if you look at end games, I mean, your end games are kind of weak. I mean, you don't have any.
Yeah, I
Here's
have 2 for
Fairgrounds,
architectural zoo.
Aquarium, Native, Diverse, and yeah, oh my god, you lose because of like the most gross high roll you can probably imagine. But okay,
That's Ark Nova, man.
yeah,
That's why we love the game, isn't it?
at least it was unrated, I think. So uh,
Yeah, it was friendly, so we take those.
you you only lost, I don't know, the bragging rights for this particular day.
I suppose, but his elo was still higher than mine, so he's a better player, so he won. I mean, it's very simple.
Yeah, that's how it works, right?
And only 8 water tags, so really
What a scrap.
not that big of a blow, honestly. I mean, I've had worse.
I mean, not even getting to 12 to get like double aquarium endgame. That's kind of weak, but okay.
Yes, double aquarium endgame.
Which I've never seen in my life, by the way. So if anybody ever does this, then congrats to you.
I'm
Like,
pretty sure I had 12 in that Marine Worlds
oh,
game, but I only gave myself 1 CP for it. It's not 6 per. It's
yeah.
not 1 CP per 6 water tags, right?
I mean, I feel like I mean, if you can get two end games from Polar Bear, I mean, it's so rare to get 12. Like I don't know, rocks for cable car or water for crime. If you get it done, then just get another shield. Come on. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like this is
Let's
yeah.
tell the BGA devs.
Yeah, I mean, Matthias Wege, if you're listening, I think it's fair if it worked this way, right? But okay.
Yeah.
Um, very
So there
interesting
was
game.
there was something that you said about calculation, and this
Yeah,
goes back to one of the questions, and this is a
yeah,
point that I wanted to make.
hmm
So, I mean, look, I found the play to end the game in 1 turn. I
yeah.
think it was the right play. I really don't think I misplayed anything in the end game, so to speak, and that
No, you
includes
didn't.
taking Sunbear over America Man, right? I think it was the right call
Yeah, yeah,
because I had the path without America Man to get there, and I think hating Sunbear was a little bit more important.
yeah.
So I'm not really. I don't think I misplayed, but also sometimes sometimes stupid things happen and you lose the game, and that's okay. And there's a game with random elements, and that happens. But you know, you've mentioned calculation a couple of times,
Yeah.
and this kind of goes towards my Emu Cup experience because like I play mostly turn-based games. Emu Cup games are live. Uh, there's not a lot of videos on my channel because I can only record the live games,
Yeah,
and I just
of course, yeah.
don't get to play too many of those. And so, especially at higher level games, if I need a minute to calculate, I have that.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a strength of mine. But there was a game against Darcelmaw where I just like I had a winning end game. And I mean, Darcelmaw's really, really good. It would have been
Yeah.
great to snipe a win off him. But it got to the end game, and I couldn't add. I did some math wrong. And in a turn-based game, I would have had time to check that, but
Mm.
I committed to a line, didn't have the money for it, panicked, was running out of time, missed actual winning end games. And I'm finding these end games later on. You can listen to my commentary. I'm finding
Mm.
them later on in the game, and all I needed was more time to get there. I think you can definitively say I lost that game because of time,
Mhm.
not because of like what my normal skills of an Ark Nova player, a turn-based Ark Nova player are, but because I didn't have the time to do the calculations that I needed. And I guess there was a comparison you had made to intuition. A lot of other
Yeah.
players would look at that and say, well, your intuition says to do this and you don't need to calculate it. And as you can see, whatever that means, I don't have it and I lost the game because of it. And I think there are other situations in Emu Cup where like I mean my middle 5 games, I lost all of them. In a I was not fully functioning mentally during those games. You can probably tell based on my commentary and my play. And it's a big disappointment that I joined this tournament just hoping to get games against really good players
Mhm.
and play well and see how I stacked up. And for those 5 games and a few others, I didn't have that. And it's not my fault, but it's because of me. So that's the really frustrating thing about
Mhm.
having cancer. It's not your fault, but everything that happens is still because of you and you have to deal with it. So so frustrating there, but I did get to have some games. I had a great win against JD that felt
Yes,
amazing,
indeed.
and so like this whole intuition versus calculation thing. I think you were going to ask me like, do you think you I mean, which one do you think is more? And
Yeah.
obviously, I'm a calculation
Yeah.
player, but here's the obnoxious thing. What does intuition even mean? Can you just define that for me?
Well, so personally, I think that intuition. I think it means two things. So first of all, if you look at your game against, I think first of all you can, especially in tactical game like Ark Nova, nearly all of the time you cannot base your decisions on intuition. Often it's just like lazy in a way, like yeah, I go by vibes and I think just yeah, doing this is better, but actually you just didn't like think it through enough. And I guess you just go by like experience or pattern recognition, and more often than not, you're right. But usually, I think you have to calculate things through. In Ark Nova, especially, can intuition
Yeah,
be?
I think a great example of that was that whole meerkat den reindeer thing early on in the game. Sometimes your intuition says get the tickets before the break so you can get more income, right? But if you do the calculation, you're like, this is worth doing. You play the meerkat den first, right? I think is that what you're talking about, like intuition versus calculation? But
It's hard to say. I mean, I would say, like, for example, if I had been in like this situation, I would have also played the meerkat then first, I guess, but not just by intuition, but because just I've been in this. I've had like game states like this before, and I just kind of like not like explicitly, but I
yes,
just know. But is this intuition, or I would say that this is more like pattern recognition. Um,
right. And that was one of the points that I wanted to make about this. A lot of people, when they say intuition, what they really mean is calculations that they've done so often
yeah,
that they don't think about them anymore. It's kind of like muscle memory, right?
yeah, right. I do think though that intuition can like exist. Let's put your game against Starcell, for example. You said that, I mean, there was a winning line where you could have ended like one or two turns earlier if you just play like there was sun bear and I
The
think like
brown
a
bear that
brown
fell in the
bear.
row,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. For example, like if you like play a lot of real time games, I think you just kind of know that this is a candidate line which may just looks like a potential cross, and then you still have to calculate. But intuition can often like help you find potential lines, which you still then have to calculate through. And sometimes, especially in the early games, I think there are decisions which you just cannot calculate through. Especially like which card should I upgrade? Should I take worker? Should I take snapping? Should I take whatever? It's just too opaque and I don't know, too far in the future to extrapolate what's correct.
Yeah,
And then
right.
you
And this was the other point where I think when some people say intuition, what they really mean is heuristics. Like, here's a
okay, I
game
guess, yeah.
situation. It is hard for me to calculate what is going to be good based on the information I have because I don't have complete information, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what cards I'm going to draw. I don't know what upgrade I'm going to need. So you use a heuristic to figure out what's best. Heuristics mean like, oh, well, a lot of the time my first upgrade should be build, or if I have an upgraded sponsor card, then I upgrade sponsors first, right? Like that's a heuristic, right? And that'll work a lot of the time. But this is Ark Nova. Heuristics work maybe 40% of the time, which is why the game is fun.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like calling it heuristic is like more semantically correct, right? But I mean, that's the thing, right? Like
Yeah.
for these kind of decisions, you have in a real-time game, you literally have to decide in like 30 seconds usually, or maybe a minute if you really have time to like,
Mhm.
I don't know, on turn five decide what is better for the next 25 turns, which is just, I mean, I go wrong so often that I can't say too much about it, but um,
Yeah, and just because something doesn't work out for you doesn't mean it was the wrong play,
yeah, right, yeah, that's true.
right? I mean, it should maybe educate your heuristic on like, oh, well, that was a time that it didn't work out. If that happens to me too often, maybe I'll consider adjusting my heuristic and doing that less often, right?
Yeah,
But you can't be results oriented, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's
you
correct.
can't do that and expect to get better and have good mental health. I mean, I can't expect to have good mental health anyway. Who can? But but I think you said that it's a semantic difference, and you're right. I think it is a semantic difference. But I'm a person who had a podcast with over 100 episodes where all I did was talk about a board game. So semantics are very important to me. And what I've found through talking about board games is that's a way, like sometimes you say the best way to understand material is to explain it to someone else because it forces you to put it in terms that are simple enough and accessible enough that someone who doesn't already know what you're telling them can understand and learn from it. I had so many people ask me, how do I get better at Dominion? And I made a video tutorial series on my other YouTube channel that answers as much of that question as possible. And in Dominion, I think there's a certain set of fundamentals that are going to be true all the time or most of the time, but like the game changes so much that maybe not all of it will apply, and what you're
Mm,
doing in a given game is different. And I think Ark Nova is a very tactical game, so
yeah,
there's certain fundamentals that are like, you know, get money because you need that to score points and get conservation. Like there's fundamentals and stuff But past that, so much of getting good at Ark Nova is knowing what's good, how good it is, and now you're in a game situation and you have the resources available to you, and you have to figure out what the best thing you can do is. And that's all heuristics, right? It's not all heuristics. It's
Mostly is.
calculation, but if you're speculating on what your opponent has or what you could draw, that's heuristics, right? So I mean, that's the game, calculation and heuristics. And I think I'm pretty good at calculation when I have the time to do it.
But I mean, I
Anyway,
think
that's the point I wanted to make.
yeah. No, it's fair enough. And I think like I sent you like a set of potential questions beforehand, and one of them was like, what are like your strengths and your weaknesses as a player? So I think like from what you've just said, I think I can already like, kind of deduce that you're very good at calculation, but you feel like your heuristics could be improved upon, or what would you say?
For sure. Even calculation can be a
Mm,
problem sometimes, like finding the right calculation to do, for
mhm,
example. Which I think I've gotten a lot better than that. But like, if a break is happening and I have 40 or more points, then I just need to start doing endgame math,
mm,
right?
yeah.
And I think that I mean, I wasn't doing that earlier in Ark Nova, but I played a game recently where I had 46 points, and I was like, oh, for sure, I'm ending the game this break in 3 actions, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's also just a lot about discipline because I mean, I've like seen replays of your games. There's in PGA. I've watched some of your videos, and I think it's fair to say that you are very good at calculation and just general tactical play. So I think it's like a fair self-assessment if you say that you're very good at like calculating things. And if you mess it up, maybe you were just too lazy or not like in the mental state to do so in this moment. But I don't think it's like I don't know, a lack of skill or anything like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, skill is clicking the right things within the
Yeah.
time constraints and winning. So, like, and I know where I stand relative to skill. Like, I was probably one of the lowest elo players that got invited to Emu Cup. And to be fair, like to get a seat at the table is an honor. And even though the circumstances in my life resulted in some disappointment, I'm really glad I got to have a seat at the table. And whenever Emu Cup 2 happens, I hope I at least get the invite, and I'll be a little more realistic about like, am I going to be able to like mentally do this, or am I still going through like I still have like health issues that are affecting me right now. If you said Emu Cup is tomorrow, would you play? I would say call me back for Emu Cup 3, right? But
That's fair.
but at the same time, like the way you get better is by playing good players, right? And even if I lose 12 out of my 15 games, like I'm glad I had the experience. I'm glad I had the chance to win the 8 or so games that I mentally showed up for, to the point where I could actually stand a chance to beat some of these really good players. And hopefully next time that's 15, because we want competitive integrity in our tournaments.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean,
But I do appreciate you giving me the invite. And
yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
we can look at the standings right now, but I think like, you're kind of like underselling yourself a bit, right? I mean, you were probably one of the lower rated players just because the field was so stacked, but I mean, you were at like 660 or 670 or so, so I think
Yeah,
very
that was
deserving.
right before I flushed my elo down the toilet. So yeah, I mean, at that time I was playing, at a 670 level, and then for a lot of the games in the tournament, I wasn't playing that way. When I played JD, I was having a great day. I was focused. I felt in control of everything in my life, and I drew bald eagle. So like these things these things happen together. Yeah, it makes sense. You make your own luck.
It's fair. I mean, so I mean, overall, like, are you satisfied with how it went?
Uh Satisfied can mean a lot of different things. In certain ways I am satisfied.
Mm,
The fact that I just got to play 15 games against a
mm,
lot of players, and that's 15 more than I would have been able to play. I
mm,
made some mistakes in trying to adjust to real time, but
mm,
at the end of the day, that's a learning experience. I think I'm going to be a better player at the end of it
yeah.
than I was before. I just have to get back to doing all the other things right that I was doing when I was 670 elo, because I'm not that right now. Um, there are definitely disappointments, but I don't know. I can be upset about those, and I've done that, but there's only so long you can be upset about things that you don't have complete control over. And while it is, I said this before, it's because of me, but it's not my fault. It's not things I have
Yeah.
control over. I just have to be, I just have to hope that like terrible things don't happen to me health wise in the middle of a season. Um, to give me a better shot at
Yeah.
those games. And like I'm sure I would have lost some of those games anyway, but I
Yeah.
really just wish I could have shown up a little better and not made like so many blunders, you know, and then
Mm.
like sort of checked out of a couple of like there were two games I didn't post because like I blundered early and I checked out and it's not good content.
Mm.
And like that's not a good competitive mindset, but I didn't have that in me that day. So like there are disappointments, but like I'm really glad I had the experience. And like this is a stepping stone. This is like a an important part of my journey to be the best Ark Nova player in the world. It's a long journey and this is one of the first few steps, but I'm going to get there eventually. Just you wait. My face will be on an Ark Nova card. It'll happen.
I mean, I think you said at the beginning it took you like 5 years or so between your first Dominion tournament and finally winning, winning the World Championship or so. So
Yeah.
there's still a lot of time to get there. And I
Yeah,
mean,
and I have kids now, so it might take longer.
well, I mean, rest. Be assured about like Emu Cup 2 or 3 or whatever. I mean, I don't think actually. I mean, we haven't decided yet how it's going to be, or I haven't decided yet. But I don't think it's going to be an invitational, but it's going to be open to a lot of more players, I would say probably. And I mean, you're definitely good enough
Yeah,
to make the cutoff. So I don't think like this is something you have to worry about. So
that's good to hear. And if I'm not up for playing, like I have a little bit of experience running tournaments in my life, so it may be more suitable for me to take that role if I'm not able to play. But like I've moderated like online tournaments. Dominion has a league that I was a
mm,
moderator of for several seasons, and
yeah, but
so
I
like
mean, it's always more fun playing, right? So we hope that we have to playing. And I mean, right now like the competitive like circuit of Ark Nova is just starting, but I think we're in a good way to like establish something which is like long term. So even if you have to sit out one tournament, I mean there's always gonna be the next one. So yeah.
if
There will
this is the last Ark Nova tournament I play in at this level, I'm going to be very sad. So we definitely want to get more of
yeah,
this.
this is not the last Ark Nova tournament you're gonna play. That's a promise. There will be more for you to participate in, and obviously
Yeah, unless I
yeah.
get hit by a bus, I'll be in another one of these at some point.
Okay, let's make this deal.
But I just don't make promises about being alive for any length of time. We've learned not to do that.
Well, that
Yeah,
applies
my
to all
humor
of us.
got really dark 4 years ago. You're just gonna have to deal with that.
That's fair enough. And yeah, I don't know what to say now. So I guess also we're at 140, so it's still
Oh,
fine.
do you need me to fill some more time? We can talk about Harambe some more. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, but I think uh, yeah, yeah,
But I appreciate you reaching out to make this kind of content.
for sure,
Um,
for
I
sure.
I don't interact with the community all that much. That takes time and energy that and social skills that I don't really have. So um, to to be able to tell my story in some kind of medium is nice because if there's someone out there that's wondering like why is this idiot this way, now they can maybe understand that and realize that I'm working on it and it just is going to take a lot of time.
Well, I mean, I think it was great for you to like share your story basically. I was just looking like whether I missed something that I wanted to ask, but I think we've actually covered yeah most of the things I wanted, or basically everything I wanted to talk about with you. So yeah,
Yeah, and I just, you know, there wasn't really a scene for in-person Dominion tournaments before I made one. I started hosting Dominion tournaments because I wanted to play in a Dominion tournament. And, I don't get to do that when I'm hosting. Um, Now, online, it's a little bit different. Um, but you were the one that put in all the work to make this happen. And I know that's not easy, especially for the first time you're putting something like this together.
yeah, that's true.
It's
Yeah.
not easy to do something like that. And it's a lot of work. And if you're anything like me, you're doing this work because you you wanted to see this happen, right? You wanted to see a competitive Ark Nova scene with something that was legitimate enough that all the best players would want to do it, and you could play it in real time, and it would have this format where skill could really come through, right? And you've done that. Like, I mean, Emu Cup 1 is not over yet, but I don't think there's anyone out there that's saying, well, this was stupid,
Yeah.
let's have someone else do it, right? No one's saying that. You're making a ton of content. I I did nothing to promote my YouTube channel other than send you a link, and now I get hundreds of views on every one of my videos. My other channel, I had to work way harder to get to that kind of thing, and all I did was send you a link. Guess who's putting in the work? It's you. Okay? So I'm noticing, I know a lot of other people are noticing. A lot of my turn-based opponents are like, "Hey, you're playing an Emu Cup? Sweet." Like, and we
Mhm.
chat now, and like it builds a community, and like I may not interact with the main community because the banter is something that honestly I can't um interact with.
Yeah, that's
It's
fair.
just I can't do that. But but there are other people that I play turn-based with. Like there's one of my frequent turn-based opponents who like lives 15 minutes from me, it turns out, and I invited him to my game night, which hasn't happened yet, but like you are building a community, you're building a competitive space, you're doing it from basically nothing. That is a lot of work, and me and a lot of other people appreciate that. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for reaching out to me to be a part of it. I'm sorry that I wasn't better at Ark Nova, and I'm sorry that I have other things going on in my life, but hopefully I can make some good content coming up. Hopefully this is good content, and what you're doing is appreciated. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you very much. This means a lot to me. And just like hearing stories like you finding someone who you can invite to your game nights, it's just, yeah, that was like one of the intentions, right? But I was also just laughing a little bit to myself when you said that you like started organizing Dominion tournaments because you just wanted to play in one yourself. And I could say like, yeah, I
Hmm.
wanted to build a community and like be like, I don't know, the godfather of a novel community and anything. But I mean, I think one of the main motivations was the same as yours. I wanted to play the tournament, and there wasn't any, so someone had to do it, right?
Yeah,
It's
be the
selfish,
change you want to see.
but yeah, I guess it worked out in
Oh,
your
it
favor.
but it's not selfish because you are doing that for everyone else, and they appreciate it just as much as you. And like, look, I hosted my first in-person Dominion tournament in 2015. It's been almost 9 years since I hosted my first tournament. I have real friends in my life that I met from that. Ryan is one of them, but that entire group, I make a trip on a long weekend once every year just to hang out with those people and play board games. And I met them because of the work I did to build that community. And that's just a small fraction of it. Like I've like been to people's weddings that I met through this Dominion. Like I have real actual friendships. People were part of my support system when I was dying of cancer. Like my life would not be nearly as good. And I'm gonna see some of these people in 2 weeks. And like I have young children. So like that's a huge social interaction that I don't normally get. And like it's after 9 years to have built something like that, it feels so rewarding to just be a part of it. But like, the other people are getting that too. And so like it does feel selfish because I kind of built that for myself, but at the same time, they get to play in the tournaments and maybe win money in the tournaments, and I get to watch them play and wish I was playing, right? So like, I it may feel selfish in some regards, but it definitely isn't. Like you're
Mhm.
doing so much, you're creating something that so many people want and is meaningful enough that a large number of people want to be a part of it.
Thanks, that's great here. And also, I think you said it's like the 17th iteration or so coming up. So let's see if
Yeah.
we can get to Emu Cup 17. I would be happy if we can get to, I don't know, 5 in the near future. But
The real
yeah,
goal is 55. 55 is my favorite number. I won't be happy till I get there.
well,
Dominion League hit season 55. I played in
oh,
season
oh,
55,
well,
even though I didn't. Anyway, 55 is my favorite number. If you want to know why, just ask me, but
yeah.
you don't want to know.
I mean, now that you've put it up there, I think you need to tell.
I'll send you a picture, and you can just put it on the YouTube video.
Okay, that's fair.
The picture speaks for itself. You don't want any more details.
That is
It's a
true.
world record, by the way.
Okay, okay. I,
It's funny because Panda has no idea what I'm talking about
no,
right
not at
now.
all. But we're going to see. And also, I just was
Yeah,
trying to
you
do.
will.
I just trying to do the masters. Like, what year would 55 be for you? But still a few decades to go. But definitely hope.
Yeah, it's 16 years away.
Uh,
I really hope I live that long. That would be so nice.
um, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for watching.
Yeah. I
Let's
just
let the outro play, man.
I was just thinking about like, is there any better way to do an outro? But honestly, I think it's kind of fitting for the tone of this video, for like your kind of MacGyver humor. So yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your story. I hope people were entertained and just learned
Yeah,
more about you, about your background, and can just understand better, yeah, where you're coming from.
yeah, and you just start a turn-based game with me on BGA, man. It'll be a good time. Just don't make me sleep twice during that game, otherwise
Hey,
I'll get blocked.
you've seen his PJ name, AdamHorton. So guys, uh, queue up in turn based there, and you will hit him. All right.
Yeah, I have yeah. I don't see many unique opponents on Arena. So you'll get me. I queue for hours. It's brutal. Thanks for watching.
Perfect. So let's end with this. So people, you are now obliged to queue turn based to play Adam. So yeah, thanks for listening, for watching, and yeah, any last words, Adam?
Uh I don't think so. You make your own luck.
Indeed, indeed. All right, see ya, guys.